Hey, very good evening. Hare Krishna, Jai Hind. This presentation is all about, the fifth year Pharm D project. I would not call it a project. This is equally a research, right? So now, how to get ahead with this research in year five after the clerkship and other things? You do have a project to be submitted as per the university regulations. Most universities have that. Now, most of the times, what happens is many students I see across various colleges have come to fifth year without having even one publication, which is not right. And they have a question, sir, how to select the topic for the project? You please suggest. There is nothing like we suggest. The research question has to evolve from the practice that you do from the second, third years or fourth years in the hospital. You will yourselves get an idea on something that is having a gap, that is lacking in the drug interactions area, in the drug information queries area, in the medication history interview area, or in the clinical practices, whatever you are going to do. In the day to day practice, the research question evolves. There is nothing like finalizing a project topic. You give a topic and then you say what needs to be done. Anyways, now how to select a particular research question? The question has to evolve, but still, if we are selecting it, how are we going to select it? Now, please be a part before getting ahead with the fifth year projects. Please start working on anybody from the second, third, or fourth year of PharmD who is seeing this. Should be going ahead with being a part of some or other research or a project before they come to the fifth year's project. The first project should not be the fifth year project. Please try to understand that. Now we come to the research question. How the question has to be selected? How the research has to be done? What is the research question? See, the research question is to be SMART. SMART. S stands for specific. The question has to be very specific. It should not be too big, too long, and it should not have too many ifs and buts. Okay. Now, measurable, the input or the output, both should be measurable. How are we going to implement it? What are we going to give as input? What is the output? How are we going to measure the output? If we cannot measure the impact of the pharmacist intervention or the impact of the research question or the intervention in question, will not be coming out in a proper manner. Achievable, see, Pharm D has got 6 months in the fifth year for doing this research or the project work, out of which 1 month will go in literature review, introduction, preparation of the questionnaires, of the instruments, the ethical clearance, and all those things for which you will have to make the presentation, get the ethical clearance in writing, and then you will have to start, without which you should not start a research or a project. Okay. Now, 1 month will go at the end to do the statistical work, to prepare the book, to finalize the PPT and present it, rehearse it, and all those things. So, effectively, you have got 4 months. Based on the design of the study, how long you are going to recruit the patients, how much instruments are involved. Is it going to be an interventional study? If it is an interventional study, when will the second observation of the outcomes take place? Is it going to be only a one visit study? Is it an observation, just a descriptive study, or it is going to be a retrospective study? All this you will have to plan, and in the first itself, as if you are conducting a complete study, do a small pilot or run through as if you are running through the project and try to understand what happens. And please involve the statistician from day one. Don't involve the statistician in the end by preparing an Excel sheet, sending it to him. What all can be done? That should not be the procedure. You will have to involve the statistician from day one, right, when the methodology is finalized. So it has to be achievable, it has to be done within 6 months. You cannot do a study like which goes for 4 years, 2 years, 1 year in a 6 months period, right? So you are not doing a cohort study here. I hope now you understand what is a cohort study, which happens for over years or decades of time. It has to be relevant to our practice, relevant to current healthcare scenario. You cannot take something that has happened in the past and try to relate it to the current. It has to be relevant to the field that which you are working in, or as a pharmacist, or to the healthcare system which we are working in. It has to be time bound, which we discussed already. Now, towards the left, you can see here, I've given a note, like the research question. How unique is it? How novel is it? You cannot do something which has happened in Andhra Pradesh in Tamil Nadu, or something that has happened in Tamil Nadu to be repeated in Uttar Pradesh. It has to be unique, it has to be different. So you cannot just, go through and copy paste some topic which has happened in some other place or which is published already, and make some slight modifications and then do. That means you are just doing it for the sake of a project. When you want to enhance or enrich your knowledge, attitude, skills, you should not be doing that. How useful it is for the current medical practitioners, to the healthcare system, to the patient, how it is going to help improve the health of the patient. Now, the topic, the aim, objectives, methods, results, conclusions, everything should be in the same line. You cannot have a separate topic and you cannot divulge the aim or objectives, then the methods, everything. The aim and objectives will be based on the topic. The methods will be to achieve the aim and objectives. The results will be enumerating the outcomes based on the methods about the aim and objectives. Then the conclusion comes, right? And then you will have to know the scope of the study. What are the positives? What are the negatives? Do a strength and weakness analysis of the study, and say, see, certain studies where we take information from the patient, we completely depend on the information on the patients, right? So when the patient says, I smoke 2 cigarettes a day, you have to believe that, he smokes 2 cigarettes a day. There is no method to validate it. So that will form a scope of the study. The reader has to understand that there are certain limitations for the study. And then the expected outcomes, how are we going to, what tables will be the outcomes, what will be the results expected. You should not predict the result and create a bias, but you can just say the way my outcome will look like, the impact of what will happen, the relativity between the difference in the control group and the test group in terms of chi-square test. So like that, Pearson's correlation, Spearman's correlation coefficient, like that you will have to predict the expected outcomes based on the aim and objectives. Now, the major part is the methodology. We will have to answer all these questions: what, when, where, why, who, how, all these things. And typically, I see in most of the projects, inclusion criteria, whatever we say we have included, in the exclusion criteria, we say the other part is excluded. It should not be a repetition. We are not playing hide and seek here, inclusion, exclusion. You will have to really write points which makes sense, right? And design of the study, what are going to be the statistical methods, what is going to be the software package which you are going to use, how have you calculated the sample size, what would be the dropouts based on the previous literature reviews, that has to be calculated. And finally, after doing all these things with the evidences and references, you should not do anything without a evidence or a reference. Every slide, every paper should have a evidence or a reference. What instruments you are going to use, why are you going to use, based on what you have come to this kind of a conclusion, why your study is unique, how is it going to be useful. All these questions will be done by the ethical committee, and then they clear the protocol, after which you can do a pilot, and from the pilot then you will have to extrapolate it after making some corrections or changes with the approval of the ethics committee. Then you will have to do the final project. And then how do you interpret the results, how do you present the results? See, most of the times I see many candidates are too good in finalizing all this, but then the language becomes a big problem. They are not able to present it. The slides are containing of, paragraphs and many colors, and it's like rangoli or it's like black and white. So we'll have, it's a kind of there is nothing like this has to be done like this, but this is up to the creativity of the person. Being a pharmacist, going into the clinical career or into clinical research or into pharmacovigilance, anywhere you will be working with a team. And so you will have to know communication tactics, how to present, how to represent. All these things should be a part of your day to day, skill development programs, which no one will teach you separately. But as a part of a professional development, you will have to go and acquire these skills either by joining an English speaking course, or trying to communicate, presenting again and again, trying to work on certain things. Associate yourselves with good people whom you want to copy or whom you want to become. And finally, there are many people who say, I'm not interested in a publication. You cannot say like that, because the entire idea of research is going to be wasted if you are not going to publish the thing. Because only by publishing it goes to the public domain, or it goes to the World Wide Web, it goes to Scopus, it goes to Google Scholar, wherever it is listed, the journal is listed, and unless you are going to publish it, it will not form a part of the literature review for the future researchers. So you are creating an evidence that you have done a research, and you are adding the gap. And how have you bridged the gap? The gap has to be bridged by publishing the entire thing. And if you're not going to publish it, it's of no use doing a research or doing a project. See, this is just a tip of the iceberg in terms of how to do a project or how to do a research. This is not even 1% of what it is. There are many shortcomings because of time limitations. I am presenting it just as a tip, for you to understand. Initially, the fifth year people or the fourth year Pharm D professionals who are going to go ahead with their project can just take this as an idea on how to find it out. But please understand, if you have a question that has evolved out of your practice in the hospital, that is the best research, that is the best project, and nothing like that. You have to sit and find out through the Google or someone else that you find various topics that are done as Pharm D projects and then finalize on something. No, please don't do that. But please remember, your topic should be specific. You need to have measurability of your outcomes, of your results, and of your the testing of the hypothesis has to be completely measurable. It should be achievable. Don't take more than what you can chew. You will have to achieve it, and it should be time bound within 6 months what you have got. See, you can extend this. You can do as many number of research as you want in the sixth year, fourth year. Nobody stops you. But go properly through the channel of ethics committee clearance and with a proper guidance on what all needs to be done. And unless you are going to publish the matter, your research is not complete. It is going to be incomplete. Thank you.